Did you know that some studies have shown that 4-year-olds ask anywhere from 200 to 300 questions per day? It's no wonder we're all exhausted. Hi, hello, welcome back to another episode. I'm Dr. Jasmine. I'm a clinical psychologist as well as a mom of 2, and around here we talk about everything from child development to positive parenting and our own mental health as parents. So welcome back. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about the 6 common parenting phrases that a lot of us use more often than we like to admit, but that often backfire. Okay, so these are the phrases that I want you to stop saying in 2022 and beyond. Okay, we're just gonna stop saying them. Okay, or at least we're gonna catch ourselves as we're saying them, and then we're gonna say something different. Okay, so I'm gonna break down what these phrases are, right? Why we often say these phrases, why it backfires, and then most importantly, okay, what do we say instead? Okay, so let's dive in. Before I dive into this episode, I just want to quickly shout out that I have a free discipline workshop called How to Get Your Child to Listen to You Without Yelling. It is completely free. It walks you through my research-based formula that I have developed over years of being a psychologist and working with children and families just like yours. And it's about how do we get our child to actually want to cooperate? How do we increase the likelihood that they follow our directions without having to do all the things that we hate? Okay, so it breaks down how to connect with your child, and then how to just breaks it all down, right? And how to give a consequence that's respectful, but also very clear and very direct and very effective. Okay. Again, completely free, no strings attached. Go to themomspsychologist.com/workshop to tune into my workshop. All right, let's get into the 6 phrases we need to stop saying, okay? The first one is okay. The first one is okay. Go put on your shoes, okay? Go sit down at the table, okay? Right? Please go put on your tennis shoes, okay? Put on your coat, okay? Adding that okay at the end of whatever we are saying to our child, whatever instruction, I will say, whatever instruction, we add an okay at the end of it. Now, why do we do it? I think a lot of times we're trying to be polite, right? We're not trying to feel like we are barking orders at our little ones, that we are, telling them what to do every 5 seconds, right? We want to kind of be polite about it, right? We want to be nice, and we're trying to see if they're going to cooperate, right? We're like, okay. That's the kind of like energy it gives. Like, are you going to cooperate? I don't know. Okay. Let me find out, right? So oftentimes we fall back on those things. A lot of times it's just a habit, right? We're just the way that we talk, and we don't even realize that we are saying it in the moment. So start to catch yourself. Okay. And why does it backfire? Okay, why does it backfire? Well, it frames instructions like a question, right? It frames instructions like an option, right? Do you want to go put on your tennis shoes? Right? I don't know. Let me ask you, right? I'm going to ask you a question, okay? Right? Or often we won't say okay, but we'll say, hey, can you go put on your tennis shoes? Or can you go sit down at the table? And, I'm not saying that all instructions, for some instructions, it makes sense, right? Because it is an option, or it is an idea that we are proposing to our child to do. But a lot of the times from our own perspective, it's not an option, right? It's more of, I need you to go put on your shoes because we're about to go head out for school or whatever, right? I need you to go sit down at the table because it's dinner time. And that's not an option, but we're framing it like it is a question. And so that's why it often backfires, is because our little one registers it like it is an option, right? And it gives them an option. Do I want to cooperate or not? And, if it doesn't fit in with what I'm trying to do, I'm not, I'll get to it when I get to it. Okay, so instead, very subtle but very powerful, and I talk a lot more in depth in the actual workshop, my discipline workshop, but the very powerful way to switch this around is to just put, please go sit down at the table. Please go put on your shoes. Please go to the potty. Please go sit over there. Please go pick out a book. Please take off your pants. Whatever it is, right? Please XYZ. Just drop the okay, drop the can you, and just leave it as a complete sentence and a very clear instruction. Okay, bonus tip, just put one instruction at a time. Okay, don't, please go sit down and do this and do that and do that. Okay, one at a time. Okay, especially if you have a very little one, and especially if cooperation is something that they're working on, right? One thing at a time. Yay, thank you so much for listening. All right, now go do this, or do it with them. Bonus tip there. Okay, so that's the first one we want to stop saying is okay. The next one we want to stop saying is use your words, right? Your child is getting frustrated. Your child is starting to get aggressive with you or a sibling or a peer, and you get frustrated and you say, use your words, right? Why do we do this? Well, we feel overwhelmed, right? And in our mind, we're registering this as an emergency, something that needs to stop. And, if it's aggressive behavior, it is something that needs to stop in the moment, right? If they're doing something unsafe, it is something that we need to, not interact with, but something that we need to intervene and, keep everybody safe. But a lot of the times it is not an emergency, but we're registering it as an emergency, right? The alarm bells are going off. They're starting to whine. They're starting to tantrum. And we're like, use your words, right? Use your words. I'm getting overwhelmed and I need you to stop, right? So oftentimes we use that phrase because we need them to change their behavior, or we're getting overwhelmed by their intense feelings. And we don't want to hear it anymore, right? We don't want to hear the crying. We don't want to hear the whining or whatever it is, right? And we just want them to use their words and just be able to move on from the situation. Now, why does it backfire? Because often, and really the whole thing of the whole point of the phrase is to instruct them to use words, but often kids don't have the words to use, right? If I need us to start operating from a principle that if our child could do better, they would. Very simple, but very powerful. If my child could do better, they would. So the fact that they're not doing better just tells me they can't, right? It's not that they're just don't want to behave well. It's that something's going on, right? Something's going on with them. There's a skill that they haven't learned. There's something that they're trying to tell me, and I need to understand it first, right? And I need to guide them through this interaction. Okay, so it backfires because we're not teaching them the words to use. And so what happens is it comes off to them like we are shutting them down, right? We're barking an order at them. Use your words as an order, right? Use your words, right? And so then they get even more overwhelmed, and it just increases the likelihood that they do the thing that we're trying to get them to stop doing. So it just is this like cycle, okay? So what to say instead, we want to just often just give them the words. So if we have that urge to be like, use your words, give them the words. What are the words? What are the words that they need to say? Say those words and guide them through it, right? Encourage them to say those words. So, you seem frustrated right now at brother. Tell brother what you don't like, right? Tell brother what you need, okay? And if you listened into last episode, I taught you 10 plus phrases to start to teach your child. One of them being space, right? Tell brother you need space, right? Instead of use your words with brother, right? It's tell him you need space. Space, please, right? Tell him you don't like that and what you don't like, right? Oftentimes they need a break from each other, and so they can say that. Or, I think you're trying to tell me that you need a snack. You can say, snack, please, right? Or it seems like you're trying to say X, fill in whatever X is. Is that right? Do I have that right? Am I on the right track? Okay, then this is what you can say, right? So, again, let's get rid of use your words and actually just start giving our children the words that they need, okay? Assuming that if they knew how to do better, they would. Okay. Next phrase we are dropping this year is, was that a good choice? Or, why did you do that, right? I hear this one a lot, right? Why did you do that? So your child has just done something to get on your nerves, right? They've made a bad choice. They made a bad decision. I'm using air quotes here because I hate to put labels on things, but you get what I'm putting down, right? You're picking up what I'm putting down. They've done something that we don't like, and our immediate gut reaction is to ask them, was that a good choice? Why did you do that, right? Now, why do we say this? Well, we're frustrated. We're triggered. This is what it comes down to, right? We did not like it, and we're triggered, and we're lashing out in anger. But I think what it also comes down to is we're trying to get them to own up to their mistake. We're trying to get them to reflect on the decision that they made. We're trying to get them to see how that was not a good decision so that they won't do it again, right? I think that's what our underlying purpose is, right? We're trying to enact change in the situation by trying to help them reflect. But why it backfires is that it often doesn't get them to reflect. It induces shame and guilt, right? It induces that feeling of I'm bad, right? Oh my God, I just made a horrible mistake and now I'm a bad kid, right? And then the shame starts building up, right? And we can't make good decisions when we feel bad about ourselves, right? And it's hard for us to reflect. Just think about for yourself, right? Isn't it hard for you to reflect on the choices that you're making when you feel really ashamed of what you did, right? It often brings us into this defense mode, right? Well, I just had to do it, right? You weren't listening, or they weren't doing what I told them to do, or they were getting in my space, or whatever it is, right? We get defensive, right? We start to reason with why we made the choices that we made when we feel like somebody else is judging us, right? When we feel ashamed for a decision that we made. So that's why it backfires, right? And also, framing impulsive actions as choices gives the assumption that they were trying to, that's what they meant to do. They were trying to be bad. They were trying to make choices, right? When oftentimes that's not the case. It was an impulsive action. And they didn't think it through, right? It wasn't an intentional thing. I'm going to hurt your feelings, right? I'm going to hurt you. Is that they got overwhelmed and they did something very impulsive. And then what happens is we see that impulsive behavior, and then we get impulsive, and we impulsively ask them these rhetorical questions, right? Why did you do that? I'm like, I don't know, right? And then it's like, so then what happens, right? When they're like, okay, then they start to probably defend themselves, right? Or they just say like, I don't know, right? And they start to just cry, right? It's like, okay, well then what is the plan? Where is the teaching, right? So why don't we just cut to the chase, okay? Because there's not a lot of direction in this question. There's none, right? They say, no, it wasn't a good choice, and then what? And then what do we do about it, right? Where is the teaching again? So what to say instead? I want you to focus on their impact of their choices. Focus on that. When you see them make a choice that you would have rather than not do, right? Focus on the impact. What was the impact of that choice, right? What do you observe? Go into just observing mode. Wow, I saw that you did this and then this happened, right? It looks like she's sad. It looks like he's upset. You just start narrating what you see, right? With the emphasis being, okay, I noticed that this was the impact of your choice, but not in a judgmental way, right? We have to be very careful about the tone that we use, because when we start to judge, again, we are inducing shame, and it's going to make it harder for your child to reflect and make better choices. So it's not about picking sides. It's not about, deciding who's right and who's wrong and judging people for their actions, right? Again, going back to the last one, I'm just going to assume if you knew better, you do better, okay? So that means that we just got to work together now, okay? Of course, it doesn't mean I'm going to let it slide. I'm going to ignore it. I'm going to pretend like it didn't happen. I'm going to just coddle you. No. It doesn't mean that, but it means, okay, I'm going to step up to the plate as the leader here, and I'm going to guide you through this interaction because something's off. You just told me something, right? You gave me a lot of information through your behavior. So now I'm going to step in, okay, as the calm, confident leader that I am, and I'm going to guide you through this interaction. And I'm going to start by observing the impact of your choice, right, in a very non-judgmental way. And oftentimes this stuff happens very fast, okay? And oftentimes we make it go fast because we treat it like it's an emergency, and we treat everything like it needs to just be shut down right now. It needs to stop, right? So when we can learn to slow ourselves down, okay, take some deep breaths and slow ourselves down, we can create teaching moments in these moments, in these opportunities, whatever I'm trying to say, right? So I see both of you are having a hard time. It looks like, it made sister mad when you knocked over the tower. Let's think this through, right? It looks like you guys are both having a hard time. I saw this happen and then this happened. I'm going to help you through this, right? I don't know what the answer is just yet, but we're going to figure it out together. That's the energy that you lead with. And then oftentimes what happens when you create more space, when you create more time for them to actually sit back and think, then they can think of whatever solutions they want to come up with, right? And you can pose it back to them. What do you think we should do about this, right? And then oftentimes kids are very, very smart, right? They have the answers. And more, especially as your child gets 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, they need to be coming up with the answers, right? Of course, when they're little, we're going to be guiding them. Okay, I'm going to help you build back the tower. Okay, I'm going to help, right? I'm not going to try to force you to build it back. I see that you made a mistake. I see that you're having a hard time. I'm not going to give a lot of attention to this. I'm going to help build it back. I'm going to give attention to the other person and blah, 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 right? As they get older, they're from your modeling, they're gonna say, oh, okay, I know what I know what I need to do. I know how I can make this better. I can start building the tower back, right? For example, I'm just using that as an example, right? So you want to help them, but you can just come at it with, let's think this through, okay? Instead of, was that a good choice, right? Or why did you do that? It's, okay, I see everybody's having a hard time. Let's think this through, and I'm gonna help you. Okay. Next phrase, we are stopping in the new year. Next phrase, we are stopping in the new year is, don't cry. Don't cry. It's okay. Don't cry. Don't cry. You're upset. Don't cry. Oh, don't cry, baby. It comes from a place of love. I know it does, but we've got to stop saying this. Please hear me out, people. We got to stop saying don't cry. There is nothing wrong with some tears. There is nothing wrong with being sad, okay? And if your child learns to associate their feelings, sad, which everybody's going to feel, right? Everybody feels throughout life. They start to associate those things with, oh my God, panic, I can't cry, I need to shut this down, this is bad. It's going to create even more inner turmoil. Okay, so why do we say it? Let me back up before I get on my tangent, right? Before I get on my soapbox. Why do we say it? We say it because we feel overwhelmed by their intense emotions. I'm going to say that again. We say stop crying because we get triggered by their intense emotions, right? Oftentimes it's hard to sit and see somebody else's pain and to sit with that, right? Especially our child, right? We want to protect them. That's our instinct, right? Is to protect our child, right? But oftentimes we mistake that instinct to protect them with the urge to make them feel happy all the time. I actually just did a class about this inside of my private membership, the Mom Sisterhood. We did a class on limiting beliefs, and one of the limiting beliefs that we have as parents is that I have to keep my child happy all the time, right? That's my job. My job is to keep my child happy all the time, and that's not our job. Our job is to keep them safe and to protect them, but it is not to manage their feelings, right? And to control their feelings and to fix their feelings. And so when we say phrases like don't cry, right? We are trying to, in essence, manage their feeling, right? Fix that feeling that they're having. And we are sending the message that feeling sad is bad, right? Feeling sad is not safe. We should not be trying to feel sad. And that's not the case, right? It actually creates more suffering when we view our emotions in that way, right? Of course, we can work through our emotions. Of course, we can find coping skills. Of course, we want to be processing and working through our emotions, but that is a very personal thing, right? That's not something that somebody else can do for us. And we as the parents can't do that for our child. We can give them the tools, we can give them the space, we can give them the support and the guidance, but this is not our process to take on, okay? So, excuse me. So we feel overwhelmed, we want it to stop, and again, we feel like we're responsible for their feelings, and we take it like it's a failure, right? My child is upset, my child is tantruming, my child is whining, therefore I failed, therefore I'm messing up, therefore there's something about the way that I am in this situation that is not measuring up, and it means something about me, right? We make our child's feelings mean something about us. And sometimes, we could have said things nicer. Sometimes we do need to connect more with, a lot of the times we need to connect and lead with connection. But when our child is feeling a feeling, a lot of the times it has nothing to do with us, right? And if we can separate that and not take those feelings on as our own and make it mean something about us, right, then we can think clearly and we can just sit with the feelings, right, instead of trying to always fix them. So it backfires because it invalidates their emotional experience, right, and it makes them feel safe, because not only do I have to deal with feeling sad or frustrated about something, but now I feel alone in this feeling, right? I feel rejected by my primary caregiver, right? The person that I am turning to for comfort. Now I am alone in this feeling, and that's very scary. And now I kind of feel confused about this feeling, and I feel like it's bad that I'm even crying in the first place, and now I'm spinning out of control at this point, right? So it often just intensifies the feelings, and it makes them feel unsafe because now they're alone in their intense feelings, right? And then we start to get frustrated, because how often does saying to somebody don't cry when they're crying really work, right? like they're just supposed to, like it's a switch that you just turn off, right, and you stop crying, right? And then so we get frustrated because we're like, it's not working, right? I'm trying to comfort you. I'm trying to say it's okay. I'm trying to, whatever. And now you're not listening to me. And now I'm frustrated. And now I feel even more overwhelmed. Okay. So yeah, it's just all around. Again, I understand why we say it, right? A lot of the times these are the phrases that were said to us as little ones, right? When we had intense emotions. It's very hard to sit with somebody's intense emotions. So I'm not trying to minimize this, right? It is very hard, like thinking about with our partner, right? Or a friend. The urge to fix somebody's feelings, to problem solve for them, to offer all these solutions, to comfort them by telling them it's okay and they don't need to cry or they don't need to feel upset. The urge is strong, right? And really, the more we can sit with our own feelings of discomfort, the more we can, help other people around us. It is hard, okay? So I'm not trying to minimize this, but it often backfires, and it's often not what we really want, right? At the end of the day, we want a deeper connection with our child. So the way that we have a deeper connection with them is to just validate their pain, validate their emotional experience, even if it doesn't make 100% sense to us, right, in that moment. So, I see you. I see that you're feeling frustrated right now. I see that you're feeling upset, you're angry, right? You're sad, whatever it is, right? I label those feelings for them, you know, and they'll correct you if you're off, or you can, you know, ask them, did I get that right? But you're leading with that, right? That I see you and I understand what's going on for you, and I'm here for you. I'm not going to try to fix your feelings. We can work through them together. I'm here to help you along the way, but I'm not trying to shut you down, right? I'm not trying to control this process for you. And that really lets children just soften up a bit, and actually they calm down quicker. That's the hack, okay? They actually end up calming down quicker. So one of the things that I love to say to my girls is, I love you when you're happy. I love you when you're frustrated. I love you when you're mad. I love you when you're sad. I love you irregardless of your feelings, and I'm here. The other thing I'll say is, like, let it out. And that just helps my brain register that this is not a threat, and that it's okay for them to feel whatever they're feeling, and that they can get that out. Okay, so again, to reiterate, we are dropping the word don't cry. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay, don't cry. It's gotta go. Okay, next one is stop doing X. You fill it in, right? Stop running. Stop hitting your brother. Stop whatever. Stop jumping on the couch. Stop that, right? Don't stop, quit, not. All of those phrases we're gonna stop, okay? Why do we say it? We say it when we are feeling overwhelmed. We say it when we are trying to run around and put fires out all day, right? That's a very tall tale sign that we are running around and we are putting fires out, right? We're going to one thing, stop that, stop that, stop this, don't do that, la la la, right? Quit. And I actually talk a lot about this in my free workshop. Make sure you go listen to it right after you listen to this episode, because I go into depth about the negative cycle that we get in with our kids, where we are putting out fires all day long, and then we feel overwhelmed, we feel exhausted, we feel resentful, and then our child just keeps doing the negative behaviors. So I talk about that cycle and how to get out of that cycle. But well, the reason why we say those things is because we're in that negative cycle, and it often backfires because these phrases are not instructive and it focuses on the negative behavior, right? So we are actually making it more likely that we are going to see that behavior again because we are focused on it. So it's like saying to somebody, you know, don't think about a pink elephant. Well, now what are you thinking about, right? You're thinking about the pink elephant in the room. So what you want to say instead is what you want them to do. So instead of stop running, it's please use your walking feet, right? Stop jumping on the couch, it's please sit down on the couch, right? Stop hitting your brother, it's please use your gentle hands. And then, you know, using your actions to teach the rest, right? Oftentimes, right? Often it's less about what we say and more about, okay, what are we going to do in that moment? So, in essence, what you want to do is to start instructing them with your language, right? Making sure that your language is very educational and specific, okay? So that you are guiding them through your language on what you want them to do differently in that moment, okay? So we're gonna drop the stop and the quit and the don't do that, and we are gonna focus on what we need them to do instead, and then be very, very clear and instructional in our language. Okay, the next phrase that we are gonna stop using is say you're sorry, right? Your child has just made a mistake. They've just done something that you wish they wouldn't have done. They've hurt somebody else, whether it's their feelings or their body, and your immediate thing is say you're sorry, right? Why do we say this? Well, we're shocked in the moment. A lot of the times we're embarrassed by what our child has done, and we are upset by their choices, right? We're disappointed in our child for the choices that we make. And so we feel like we need to enact change. We need to help rectify their behavior. They need to rectify their behavior, and saying sorry is the way that they're gonna do it, right? That's kind of the way we've been conditioned in culture, right? Is to, in American culture specifically, to think, to apologize and to say I'm sorry when we make a mistake, right? And we want to feel as the parent that we are doing something, that we are teaching our child a positive behavior in terms of when we make a mistake, apologizing for our mistake. And so we want to feel like we're doing something in that moment to rectify the situation. Now, why it backfires is it often induces shame. So kids resist, right? When a child has made a mistake, often it's impulsive, right? They haven't thought it through. And then when we immediately come at them with, you need to say sorry, then all of a sudden they're like, oh, right? Like they feel shame. And so then oftentimes they resist. Or they just give an empty, I'm sorry, right? It's empty. They don't really understand. There was really no teaching. There was really no action they had to do differently or anything that they had to do to rectify the situation other than say, I'm sorry. And so it kind of falls flat, right? And then everybody moves on. And then once you know it, 10 minutes later, they're doing the same thing or a version of the same thing. So that's why it often backfires. So what to do instead, and I actually have a whole episode inside of my private community, the Mom Sisterhood, on why I don't believe in forced apologies and what we can do instead as parents. And actually, if you hop on the wait list to my private community, which will be opening very soon, you can go to themomspsychologist.com/sisterhood, themomspsychologist.com/sisterhood, to hop on the wait list, and you'll get the free episode just for hopping on the wait list. But I talk about in a lot of detail about, why I don't agree with this and what to do instead. But I'll just say for the purposes of this episode, children are often taught the concept of apologies, but they're very empty, right? Because a lot of the times too, for kids, it's not even developmentally appropriate. They don't fully understand somebody else's perspective until around 4 or 5. And so we're asking them to do something, I think, because we're trying to save face, right? Because we want to feel like we're doing something in the situation, that we're teaching our child something. So I understand why we do it, but it's often empty, right? And it doesn't mean a lot. And so what I believe that we should do in those moments is to help our child understand the impact of their choices, right? Which we talked about earlier, right? Helping them understand through our own observations in a non-judgmental way the impact of their choices, right? Wow, you did X, and then this is how that made your friend feel, or this is how it made brother feel. And then guiding them through the action that they can take to rectify the situation, okay? So it's less about what they say, it's less about apologizing, and more about, okay, how can we take action to help that person feel better, right? Can we offer them an ice pack? Can we grab them a Band-Aid? Can we get them a snack? Can we offer them a hug? Can we ask them what they need, right? So it's about guiding them through how to rectify the situation with their actions. And for a lot of little ones, they need this modeled for them before they can learn how to do this on their own. And so a lot of times we're going to have to be the ones to do that, especially in the beginning as they are learning this. So I'm not a fan of just barking at our little ones to say they're sorry, because often it doesn't really mean anything if they do say it. Or it just encourages a power struggle, because what happens when they say no? Then you're even more upset, and it just gets really messy really quick, right? So instead, focus on teaching them the actions that they can take to rectify the situation and helping them understand the impact of their choices, so that they're more likely next time to think through the choices that they make, because they're going to understand, oh wait, okay, it's not just about me, but my choices have an impact on somebody else, and so let me think through that. So again, they're learning this. They're still learning all of this, especially for the little ones. They are very self-focused. They're very egocentric around this age, right? So it's very hard for them to step outside of themselves and what they want and their opinions and their needs, and think about somebody else's perspective. think about how their choices are going to impact somebody else. That's a higher order level of thinking. And so we can help them with that through our non-judgmental observation. Okay? So I hope that this episode was helpful for you. I hope that this kind of gave you some ideas of some phrases that you can stop. Again, we're going to stop saying, say you're sorry. We're going to stop saying, stop doing that. We're going to stop saying, don't cry. Was that a good choice, or why did you do that? And use your words and okay. Again, don't forget to check out my free discipline workshop by going to themomspsychologist.com/workshop. It is completely free and is packed full of so much value on how do we get our child to listen to us, how do we get our child to cooperate and actually want to cooperate, how do we connect with our children in deeper ways without having to do all the things that we hate, like yelling, okay? And punishing and threatening and bribing. So be sure to check out that workshop. Until next time, I will see you on the next episode. Thank you so much for watching, and that is all I got. Bye.